This is ZYGER Fit. We are fitness for mind. We roar together. And we are back in the studios. Hello, my lovely people on the studios. My goodness. I have my lovely Gemma Casey. Hello, Gemma.
Hi, Zoila. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm really well. And the sun's out.
The sun's out. I love it, actually. I love the fact that we have sun now.
I know. We've waited a while.
Yeah?
We have. It makes a difference.
It does make a difference, actually. It helps my mood.
Absolutely. It's good for the mindset and the soul.
It does. Gemma, hello. How you doing?
I'm really pleased to be here. Thank you for having me along.
No, I was telling you, Gemma, actually, I am really excited to have you here. If you see me doing X, which is how you say mistake in my Dominican Spanish slang, if you see me make mistakes, I'm fine. I'm just, I'm fine, but I'm just here, okay? I am enjoying to have you here. I am enjoying your presence because I know we're going to talk from experience. I know your experience, and I've met you for a couple of months now, like 8 months or something, which is the time that I've been doing this lovely training at the Natwest as the accelerator program that we're going to be talking about that later.
Yeah.
Because I know there is something really interesting that we're going to be sharing with you. Please stay tuned because Gemma has a lot of goodies in the bag. So I'm going to be asking you, Gemma, my first question. But first of all, because I can hear you, your mic is a bit going off. Will that be...
I think it's a wobbly mic here, Zoila.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Let's try that.
That's better. I can hear you now. So what we're going to be doing, Gemma, is I'm going to be asking you a couple of questions. But the first question that we're going to be asking you, and my colleague as well, Iwa, she's going to be asking you questions. But the first question is a mind-breaking question, Gemma. So don't mind me if I ask you.
Oh, I'm nervous now.
Shouldn't be. Nervous, because what I'm gonna ask you is easy, but the way I'm asking it is, think about you from a third point of view, not from Gemma herself, from the lovely mom, wife, businesswoman, not from those qualities, but imagine that you are a third person. Who is Gemma?
Whoa, that is a tough one to
I know,
open
right?
with, isn't it? You
Talking
do
about
wonder
yourself.
About this, Zoila. Wow, okay. So, yeah, this is an interesting one because I think, especially for women, when you get to a sort of mid-career, and especially, like you said, if you're a mum, you can lose sight of that a little bit, can't you? You can kind of forget who it is you are. So, yeah, you've started with a tough one there, Zoila.
It's not that tough, okay?
Okay, so who am I? Okay, well, I grew up in the South Wales Valleys. I grew up in a family that owned a business. So my dad ran a shop in Barguide all my life. And I think when I reflect now, I think that's where a lot of my values come from. So when I look at what really makes me tick and what gets me out of bed in the morning, a lot of it comes down to community and wanting to help people. And I really think that comes from my experience of working in that shop with my dad in school holidays and weekends and so on. So for me, that is really, really important. I am a firm believer in really basically what we would now call self-care. So, knowing what really makes you perform at your best. So for me, that is looking after myself in terms of keeping fit, which I know is really close to your heart as well. And just looking after yourself in the most fundamental ways, really, kind of sleep, nutrition, and that kind of thing.
Gemma, the more I know about you, the more I love you.
Thanks.
That's good. And it's interesting that you were mentioning your young ages when you were a kid and remembering your dad who is running a business. Because my next question is if there is something that you remember as a kid that you used to do that has forged you to the Gemma who you are today.
Yeah, so I think it's that really. I think it's growing up in a really close-knit community where the brilliant thing about working in our shop is that we knew all the customers and they knew us. And so there really was that sense of community, which was just fantastic. And that has stayed with me. And when I look back now, it's really informed my career. So I didn't go into Dad's business because basically he told me in no uncertain terms that was just way too much hard work to run your own business. So
oh man,
I probably
he was
should
popping
think
your
twice.
bubble.
But what I did was I went into journalism. So my passion was basically telling people stories. And my first job in journalism was on the South Wales Argus in Newport. And I worked in Newport and I also worked in Blackwood for a while. So completely same sort of community ethos as Bargoed. And when I look back, I think that was the driving force, was growing up in that community and really feeling that I wanted to be part of that in some shape or form. So journalism it was, and I was in newspapers for a few years, worked for a national news agency, and then went to work for BBC Wales.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So you started journalism, and then from there you started branching out to different industries.
Yeah, so when I look back at my career path, it's really not very linear. It looks a little bit squiggly, but there are some sort of golden threads running through there. So when I was at the BBC, I specialised in business journalism, and for a little while I produced a radio business show.
No way.
Yeah,
Right.
I did, and I loved it. Yeah,
Oh,
live
I
radio was the
know,
best.
right?
It really
I love
is.
it. I love it.
So yeah, I did that for a while, and again, I think my love of supporting small businesses and talking to people who are running their own businesses, that all came from my upbringing and the fact that that's all I knew. Really, that's what I was surrounded by in the whole of my formative years. So coming at it from a different angle, I was telling those stories as a journalist, and then I went to work for a university, and I was running a pilot project in what we now know as hyperlocal broadcasting, exactly what Radio Cardiff is. I was running a pilot in that sort of 10 years ago.
Right.
In Blaenau Gwent. So again, Valleys community. Some real common threads.
Yeah.
And that was just amazing, because we were looking at how we could tell the stories of local businesses and really try and get people in the community supporting their local high streets. So we did that project for a few years, and from there, then what on paper looks like a massive sea change, I went to work for Natwest. But the common denominator is I went to Natwest to work in the press office. So I was looking after their PR for Wales and the South West. So again, it kind of does hold together. And I was supporting business banking, so basically supporting the small business customers at Natwest.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then from there, the role that you know me for doing, Zoila, which is looking after Natwest's enterprise support across Wales. So that's basically all the things we do over and above the banking support to support people to start and grow businesses.
Supporting the ecosystem.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that everything runs smoothly.
Yeah, and so that when people have got a business idea or if they're already running their businesses but they want to grow, they can access support for that because that's not an easy thing to do.
It's not.
And also there's plenty of research out there that say that for certain sections of our communities it's even harder. So we've got a lot of research that tells us there are extra barriers if you're a woman in business, and then we've got research that tells us there are more barriers again if you're from an ethnic minority.
Yeah, and we all know that.
Absolutely, yes. So my role, and it's a really privileged role, is to look at where NatWest can support with all of that, and we've got loads of resources, but also my role is to work with other business support organisations across Wales to make sure that we're all joined up, we know what each other's doing. When somebody like you who runs a brilliant business comes to me, I can help signpost you and that you get the best support that you can when you're growing a business in Wales, because ultimately that's what we all want.
That's all about it. Like, and it's surprising because a couple of years ago we didn't have that much support, especially for new businesses.
And there's actually a lot out there now. I think that the biggest challenge we've got now is joining it up and having a clear pathway. So that if you think, do you know what, I've got this idea, I really want to start this business, or if you're already running it like you are, so that you can go there or there or there and you'll have support. But also so that those organisations know if they're not right for you right now, they know where to signpost you. I still think there's some work to be done on that signposting, and we are working on it as a collective of organisations in Wales. There's lots going on behind the scenes.
Oh, definitely. And as well, I think that there is as well the ice that we have to break through, because before there wasn't any help or support whatsoever for new entrepreneurs and for people who want to pursue their goals. But then now we find out that we have so many choices, and at the same time, not all of the choices are beneficial for our goals. But then the blockage or the ice, which I was talking about earlier, is the thing that I think that I feel that many entrepreneurs have to break through, because we think, well, there wasn't any. We have this story, the history of not having support, right? And then now we find our road with support and people who can really and are willing to help you, and we are doubting it because there's the imposter syndrome kicking in, isn't it? So we doubt whether this is gonna be good or not. I am a business coach as well, and I coach many people that it is the first step is the most difficult step for many entrepreneurs, to trust that help that you're gonna receive is going to be beneficial. It's going to lead you somewhere else. And that is exactly what you've been saying right now. But I think like as well, that this blockage, this first step is the main issue, the main thing that we need to break through. And I was thinking, what can you tell to these new entrepreneurs that they are willing to follow their dreams, their goals?
So I think it's interesting there that you use the word trust, because Natwest launched a report late last year called Time to Change, which was in collaboration with Aston University.
Correct.
And that looked particularly at the barriers facing ethnic minority entrepreneurs. And the biggest barrier identified in that report was one of trust. So exactly what you're identifying in terms of there might be all this support out there, but sometimes some communities feel that they don't trust those organisations that are offering it. Now I think that the onus then is on the business support organisations like Natwest and others to make sure that we are doing everything we can to make sure that we are speaking to those entrepreneurs in a way that they can relate to and will feel comfortable with. So that might be offering support in different places physically and not always expecting entrepreneurs or would-be business founders to come to us. It might be looking at the language that we're using. It might be looking at the type of advertising we do. It might be looking at the time of day we run a course. So on the Accelerator program, which I know we'll come on to talk about in a bit, we a few years ago, before you joined, but we did change the time of the workshops because we realised the time that was originally scheduled was going to clash with school runs.
Right.
So we moved them. Things like that we need to be alive to. We need to be listening, and for me the biggest and best thing that we as business support organisations can do is listen to the people that need our support, because it's all very well as ploughing resources in, but if they're not working for the communities we want to help, then they're no good. So we need to listen to those communities.
Definitely, like communication is key.
Yeah, always.
And the main thing of communication is listening, because otherwise you're going to be lost in the conversation, isn't it?
Absolutely. And collaboration as well is key, I think. So one of the major things we do is work with other organisations to make sure that communities that perhaps wouldn't ordinarily come to a bank for support can still get support. So for example, in Cardiff we work really closely with Asadacat Community Finance. So Asadacat have for the last few years had a grant from NatWest Cymru Regional Board.
Amazing.
And they use that grant towards their Women Entrepreneurship Programme, which offers 8 weeks of support to women especially ethnic minority women, but any woman can enroll. And that program of support helps them to take the seed of a business idea right the way through to starting up their business. And it's really hands-on and practical. And that course is really specialist and tailored to those communities so that they feel that it is for them. And what we need to do is work more closely with organisations that can be reaching all communities.
Yeah, that's interesting that you are mentioning like key supports that are out there for everyone, but as well for ethnic minority entrepreneurs. Because here's the thing, I think I was reading, I was reading, and you were there, Gemma.
What's she going to say?
Yeah. No, it was the leaflet and the information that I received when I went to the hackathon. That was specifically directed to ethnic minority groups and to see how we can help these groups to overcome these barriers, right? And I was reading that there is like very unlikely that an ethnic minority person can make it to a successful business. And I was like quite worried because you can see me. I'm one of those. And I was like, what can we do then? And it's really interesting that many companies, many big names like the Natwest are involved into getting to listen to what's out there in order to help those that need it the most.
Yeah, I think, like with anything, like when you start a business, right, we always say at the NatWest Accelerator, fall in love with the problem and then come up with a solution. And I think this is what we're seeing in action here. So we know that there's a problem because, as you referenced, we know that ethnic minority-run businesses are less likely to grow after 2 years. That's a stat that research has proven. And you're right, that's really worrying. So why is that, and what can we do to overcome that? So we know that that's an issue. Now we need to listen and work with community groups to see how we can support those businesses across that line so that they are not just surviving beyond 2 years, but they're thriving as well. And as you said earlier, it all comes down to communication, effective communication and collaboration.
Definitely. And I'm really happy that I am part of the NatWest. But before we get into the mass of what is the accelerator program, can you talk to me a little bit about your background? I know you said you have studied journalism, but background into, now we're not talking into business, right? We're talking background family-wise. You married, you have kids?
Yep, so married, live in North Cardiff, and I've got one little boy who's 7, who is the world's biggest football fan. So I am the only one in the house that doesn't know anything about football, which is most frustrating for my husband and little boy a lot of the time.
Oh, Gemma, I think we can do a competition here, and I am going to win the trophy of knowing nothing about football. Honestly, like...
Yeah, I'm learning a little bit. But I'm still not up to scratch, unfortunately. So they're both avid Cardiff City fans. So they've been down there a couple of times this season, and there's talk of season tickets for next year. So
big shout out to him. Hey.
And a big shout out to the team he plays for as well, Lisbon Panthers.
Oh, that's it. You see, I didn't even know that. So you see, now I know it. Awesome. Any other thing that describes Gemma as a person?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, as I said, it's hard. It's amazing how much things change, isn't it, once you become a mum?
Everything changes.
It really does.
It's a new world.
It is a new world.
Gosh,
absolutely. Yeah. So, mum. Really into fitness, not getting to do that as much as I used to before I was a mum, but doing what I can at the moment. I used to love dancing.
No way.
Was never very good at it, but that's fine because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So, once went to Cuba to learn to salsa dance.
No
which
way.
was
You went to Cuba.
amazing, yes.
Oh, wow. I'm jealous now.
It was fantastic.
I bet.
Yeah.
Cuban salsa is amazing.
Oh, yeah, fabulous. Yeah.
The flavor, the people. Yeah, it's lovely.
The closest I get these days is watching Strictly.
Which is good too. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is good too.
Yeah.
It is lovely to understand, to get to know you better, first of all, because I wasn't aware, like, that you liked salsa or music or that you were into fitness, because when we deal things back in the Natwest, we kind of keep it to, business.
Mm-hmm.
This is what is happening, this is how I'm doing, and a couple of updates. Yeah, how are you doing? But then now getting to know you, the personal part of you is it's like a fresh air for me, because we are similar in various ways. Because I love salsa, okay? It's just on my blood, and I do fitness as well. Well, you know what, you must know it, and then it is lovely. And now, Gemma, what is your work in the Natwest? What are you doing exactly there?
So my work is to oversee all of the support that we've got for small businesses across Wales. So we have different levels of support depending on whether you just have a business idea and would like to know how you can develop it, right up to if you are an existing business that is trading and is looking to scale and grow. So we have online on-demand programs such as Natwest Business Builder, which has got some fantastic content. If you just Google Natwest Business Builder, it's a website, it's free of charge, anyone can use it, not just Natwest customers, and that's got all sorts of content on things like mindset, which I know you love, Zoila, marketing, sustainability, funding, finance, resilience planning, all sorts of things, short, sharp, bite-sized modules, and that is available to anybody. So that's really great if you're just looking to get started. It's also got guides on doing a business model canvas, which can help you get your idea down onto paper. So we've got that resource. Then we've got a local enterprise manager for Wales, and that's my colleague Lee Morgan. And Lee is fantastic. You know Lee.
Excellent. Yeah, she is great.
And her role is twofold, really. So Lee can support people to find out more about NatWest business banking products and services. So she can tell you more about how a business current account would work and different options for funding, loans, asset finance, and that kind of thing. But she can also do one-to-one chats with somebody who maybe hasn't started yet or who has started and is running a business, and help to signpost them, just like you were saying, when you might know you need help but you don't know where to go. Lee knows her way around the ecosystem really well, and her role is to say, okay, so you need this support, can I introduce you to this person?
Create links.
Create links, exactly that. And she also runs events which are free and anybody can attend. So Lee, again, can work with people even if they don't bank with NatWest.
What type of events do you run?
So we run a monthly networking event at our co-working space in central Cardiff, which is really well attended, and it's really informal. So it's not a kind of we don't have a speaker or a set theme. It's literally a drop in at any point during a 2-hour slot, have a cuppa, have a biscuit, and chat to whoever's there.
Definitely.
And do you know what? I thought people would come for 20 minutes at some point in that 2 hours, but people tend to come at the start and they tend to stay for 3 hours. So we're obviously doing something right, I think.
There is a lot of things going on that are right, actually, because I've been in 3 of them, something like that, and I can talk by experience. You make good contacts.
There's always different people as well. So
there's always different
new contacts.
And there is a variety of good things that you can, like, if you don't get like what you were looking for, at least you get to spread the word about your own business and get good ideas about what somebody else is doing. Sometimes you can implement the same ideas, like transform them, shift them to adapt to your business.
And that is the power of peer support, isn't it? So one of the key things when you're running a business is not to isolate yourself. There's a fantastic quote by somebody that is huge in business support called Dr. Ernesto Ciroli. And his quote is, "The death of the entrepreneur is solitude." And I just think that is so true. The thing with being a business founder is suddenly you're on your own.
Definitely. And it feels lonely as well.
Yeah, of course.
Even
it
when
does.
you're not.
Yeah.
It feels like you're fighting your own fight with your own hands alone, but it's not like that, but it feels that way.
But what you need to do is find your tribe. So you need to find the people to surround you, to lift you up on those bad days, and who you can lift up when they're having bad days as well. And it doesn't matter if they're in totally different types of businesses. It doesn't have to be the same sector, because ultimately every business will have the same pain points at some point. They all need to make sales. They all need to market themselves. They all need to write a business plan and work their way through a profit and loss and all these things. So it doesn't matter if you're in different sectors, but if you build a community for yourself of people that have been there and done that or are going through the journey, then you can all lean on each other.
Yeah, definitely. And that going through difficulties, that helped as well.
Yeah.
Because that's how you build skills. That's how you get to know where are you facing, where are you at the same time, you know what I mean? That's how you get to know yourself. And what are you made of?
And I think as well, one of the things we always encourage business founders to look at is really be honest about your weaknesses, because to be honest about your weaknesses is actually a strength. Now, I think in our culture we're brought up to not talk about our weaknesses in a positive way, which is unfortunate. But when you're running a business, you cannot do everything as well as everything else. You just can't, because nobody is wired up like that. So we're all going to have gaps in our knowledge or our skill sets. And it's only when you start to actually articulate those and acknowledge them can you start to make a decision about, are you going to upskill? Are you going to learn those things? Are you going to outsource? You know, are you going to bring in a virtual PA to deal with the paperwork and the bookings and whatever? Or are you going to get somebody to do your social media? Or are you going to employ somebody? But until you say, do you know what, that's not my strong point and I don't really enjoy it, until you acknowledge that, then it's going to be a weakness.
You have to recognize those points. This is our section, Flow Power, where we encourage our audience to continue to fight for the dreams and dream big. This is what we have for today. Flow Power Loading. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. It is important that we realize that no difficulties can break us or tear us apart, but the decision of knowing where we are standing and stopping the transcourse or the course or the flowing of your nature. And by this I mean the situations won't break you. Your decision will break you if you decide to stay broken. If you decide to be broken, then you'll be broken. If you decide to move on regardless of whatever is going on through your circumstances, through your life, that is something to be admired. And not because it's coming from you is less important. Not if you see it in somebody else is more important. All I'm saying is there is a power on your will. Yes, life is difficult. Yes, we all have difficult situations, and for more that I'm trying, I will never understand what it is to be you or to go through the situations that you're going through. So I'm not trying to say it is easy. No, I'm saying it is difficult. but no situation, for more difficult that they seem to be, will break you. Whatever is gonna break you is yourself and your decision to stay broken or to break yourself. At the same time, you have the power to continue your nature, to continue the flow regardless of what is going on. I know, like I said, situations are difficult. And I'm not pretending to say it is easy. What I'm saying is, even when they are difficult, your power is stronger than any situations. And they are gonna get you to the point that you want, even when you seem that you don't have the strength to go through. So keep going. I'm encouraging you to continue to give one step at the time.
You always have a choice. So as Zoila was saying, that even when things are difficult, we can make a choice and let it, sink in and let it affect us, or we can take that moment to acknowledge it and then take the choice or make the choice into the direction that we want to go. And we are all human, so of course we are going to experience all emotions, and this range from happiness, anger, sadness, jealousy. Like, we are humans, so we are going to feel these, but it is our own relationship to these feelings that is shaping how we're perceiving reality. So when we are happy, of course, we start identifying with the happiness, and say, when you're happy, you will tend to say, life is great, life is working out for me. And then when we're feeling sad, we might feel like nothing's working out for me. But notice how in every moment in time, you choose to say those words. So next time when you're going maybe through a difficult situation, notice those thoughts and choose how you want to relate to the story and bring back your power. And that power is your choice. You get to choose which direction you take. No one can tell you which direction to go. Remember, you are more powerful than you think you are.
So how do you know which direction you should go in? Well, one thing you can do is think about future you. Do a visioning exercise. Think about where you really want to be in 5 or 10 years. And a really powerful way to do this is to set yourself a timer for 15 or 30 minutes. Sit somewhere really quiet with pen and paper, and then do a hot pen exercise. Write back from the future to yourself. So write back from 2028 and tell yourself what you're doing in 2028. Who are you? Where are you? What are you working as? Who are you surrounding yourself with? What are your hobbies? And really importantly, what have you achieved between 2023 and 2028? It's called a hot pen exercise because you don't stop to think, you don't let your head get in the way, you write from your heart. And you might find that you uncover things that you didn't even allow yourself to acknowledge out loud or in your head. So write back from the future to yourself, and when the time is up, read it back and see what your heart really desires for future you.
On the studios, we have Gemma Casey and Eva Latkoska as a co-host. Eva,
That flow power was so powerful.
that flow power was flowing.
That power, yeah.
Gemma, thank you very much for your intervention. I feel so excited to have you here. I think you should come here more often.
Oh, well, I'd love to join you. Thank you.
You know that you are the only one that has the degree here in journalism. So, so I'm just playing around with these toys, okay? And Gemma, I want to talk about the accelerator program. What is that?
So Natwest Accelerator Programme is our flagship programme of support for small and medium businesses.
Yeah.
And it is fully funded, which means
Say that again.
fully funded.
Okay, one more time.
Fully funded.
I hope everybody have heard that.
Fully funded, and also you do not have to bank with NatWest to take part. So it is open to any small business which is already trading and wants to grow to the next level.
Yeah.
So basically it is also for businesses in any sector, so it's not just for one sector. And we have a hub here in Cardiff. We have 14 around the UK, and one of them is in Cardiff.
What do I need to do if I want to apply for the or want to join the accelerator program?
Yeah, so it's a 6-month program of support.
Yeah,
so
6 months.
6 months.
Wow.
So it doesn't take a genius to work out. We run it twice a year,
Yeah.
and we are actually about to open for applications for the next round.
When is that gonna be?
So applications will open on Monday, May the 29th, and the cohort will actually start in mid-September. So we've got an application round of it's probably applications open for around 8 weeks, but my top tip is if you apply early, you get more choice of interview date.
Definitely. Because I remember that you said that the previous cohort, you have to left some people outside.
So it is a competitive process.
Yeah.
So you do need to apply. So as I said, what we're really looking for is existing businesses that are already trading and or have had a level of investment. And we're looking for people that want to grow their business. So what I always say when we get to the interview stage, really what we're looking for is a business founder with fire in the belly. So we're looking for someone who really genuinely
There is no burden though.
genuinely passionately wants to take that business to the next level.
So how can you tell if someone's super passionate about their project?
Oh, it just comes across.
You
okay,
see
so
it.
yeah,
You feel the fire.
absolutely, yes. So they talk about it with real passion, but importantly, they talk about it with clarity. So one of the things that we focus on the accelerator is developing your pitch. Now, when I say pitch, most people run for the hills and think of Dragon's Den, right? But having a pitch is not just for going for investment. If you're running a business, you really need to be able to pitch it, because next time somebody says, and what is it you do? You might be in the playground, you might be in the pub, but you never know when that's your next customer or, even your next investor. I was talking to somebody on Thursday who actually met his investor when he was standing next to this guy at a bar who said, what do you do? And they started talking, and lo and behold, eventually he became an investor. So you need to be pitch perfect at any time, and it's not as scary as it sounds. It just means talking about what you do with clarity and succinctly as well. So when we get to the interview stage, we're looking to understand what somebody does. We're looking to understand how they want to grow. So we don't say you have to be at such and such a turnover in 6 months' time, or growth for you must look like new branches or more staff. That's not what we do. We want to hear from you what growth looks like for you, and we want to know how do you think the program will help, and basically that's it. Now, Zoila made the really important point that sometimes we have to turn people away because there's a finite number of places on each cohort. But we always say it's never a no, it's a not yet. So sometimes we do have people apply and maybe they aren't quite at the right level because they might be too young in their business, it might be too early. But that's where we then will signpost to the other support that they can utilise to grow their business to the right level for Accelerator.
So there's always a way around it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've already touched on the fact that we've got so much support available to us here in Wales, and the beauty of the Welsh ecosystem is it's really joined up, so we can always signpost you to the right support for you at the right time. And that's something that continues as well if you do successfully come onto the Accelerator. So during the 6 months you get one-to-one business coaching, which is really valuable, and
Really,
anyone who's had a coach will say what a difference that can make. You have fortnightly workshops on all sorts of things like sales and marketing and business finance and all sorts of different topics, the things that we know are a pain point for a growing business. You get use of our co-working space in central Cardiff, free of charge. And if anybody is listening to this and they're not in Cardiff and they're not within reach of any of those 14 accelerator hubs around the UK, you can choose to do this virtually. Obviously you don't then get the co-working space, but you get everything else. But really importantly, and where I think the magic happens, is coming back to what we were talking about earlier, is surrounding yourself with a community.
Definitely.
So from
like-minded people.
Yeah, exactly. People that have either been there and done that or are going through it at the moment. People who can support you and you can support them. That tribe. And the first day of the cohort we call Ignition. And it's an
It's a party. It is
Yeah,
a party.
basically,
It is
yeah.
basically
It's a
like the Grammys, the red carpet. It is a party.
It is pretty cool, isn't it?
It
Yeah,
is, it
there is
is.
a lot of content, there's
Yeah.
a lot of networking, it's pretty full on. But by the end of that event, I can already look around the room and see those relationships forming and the
Yeah.
collaborations happening
Yeah.
and the magic starting to take place. It is really phenomenal. So another really key part of the program then is that we get to know you and your business, we get to know who you need to be connected with, and then
Yeah.
we will make the right connections for you at the right time.
So if I want to get in touch with this application, what do I need to do?
So if you Google Natwest Accelerator, you will find our homepage. It will give you all the information about the program. It'll show you where the hubs are, including the one in Cardiff. If you look this week, there's a little button at the top that says register your interest. If you click on that and fill in the form, then somebody will be in touch with you. From Monday the 29th, that will change to apply now, and it will take you through to an online application form. Zoila, it only takes about 15 minutes to fill in. I think it's not like going, for funding or
It's
procurement.
not
It's
difficult.
a straightforward form. Yeah.
Gemma, I know that you offer a lot of help to women in businesses. And I know that you're doing a lot in NatWest, but I know that you're doing other things around that. What other type of support do you offer?
So we have a specific focus on supporting women in business. As we talked about earlier, we know that women have higher barriers when it comes to starting and growing a business than men. We have,
especially women, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is about to change, okay?
Well, absolutely. I mean, there's research out that shows that Wales is leading the way in terms of the number of women setting up in business,
There
which
we
is
go.
fantastic news.
Women, empower the women.
But there's still a long way to go, because we've got research called the Rose Review of Female Entrepreneurship, which says that if women started and scaled their businesses at the same rate as men, it would add £250 billion to the UK economy. Billion, which is
with
phenomenal.
B. Yeah.
With B. Yeah. So it's really important that we support women to overcome those barriers. So we do a lot of work at NatWest. We have 1,000 women in business accredited specialists.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so we really understand the barriers that women face. And some of those barriers are, for example, women often say that they don't feel comfortable going to your typical business networking events. So we, for example, we're partnering with Network She to run a series of events around Wales and over the border, specifically for women in business, so that there will always be an opportunity for women to access those support opportunities and feel comfortable as well. And something that I've done as well is I've launched a podcast called Inspiring Women Wales, which you can find on Apple, Spotify and YouTube. And what that podcast does is it tells stories of female founders of Welsh businesses, because another barrier that we've been told is that women don't see enough women that look and sound like them who are running businesses. So we hear the stories of the amazing, powerful business women, but actually, do they feel like you and me? Not really.
What's the name again?
Inspiring Women Wales.
So if I Google Inspiring Women Wales.
If you have a look wherever you get your podcast, you should find 2 series of Inspiring Women Wales, 6 episodes per series. They're 20 minutes, so they're perfect for the school run or,
to
or
put it
whatever.
on the background.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And some fantastic stories of some women that have set up businesses through all sorts of adversity. And, they talk about the challenges as well as the amazing high points of running your own business.
Definitely. Gemma, I will talk to you about anything, and we'll be talking ages and ages, because the more I talk to you, the more interesting you sound to me. And I'm sure that our audience listening, they have so many questions. And actually, I have one question. But Tina, she is one of the people that I coach, right? And she asked me, well, what type of support does she do for ethnic minority groups? I think you already answered that. but if you can say it in a nutshell, what support do you offer at the NatWest and in the as well the podcast that you have as well for ethnic minority groups?
So the podcast does showcase some ethnic minority founders. So
Yeah.
we've taken really great care to try and reflect our communities with that podcast. And as we talked about previously, we're working with organisations such as a Sadakat Community Finance to make sure that we're working with diverse communities. We have our networking events and so on as well, which are open to everybody. And we're doing other projects in the pipeline as well, which will be specifically geared towards making sure that we're supporting ethnic minority business communities. So I will keep you posted on those.
Awesome. Tina, I hope this has answered your questions. And I'm sorry, guys, I have a lot of questions from you, but I don't have time now. I think I need to invite Gemma again to the studios.
I would love to come back. Thank you, Zoila.
Very interesting what you've been talking through, what you've been talking about, the NatWest, your podcast, your personal life, your background, your journey is really nice. And the fact that we share music and dance and fitness as a core as well, and the business as well. It is surprisingly interesting, and it's just a new friend for me, okay, Gemma? Guys, this has been everything at this very moment. Thank you very much for interacting with us on social media. Our handle is at ZYGERFit, ZYGERFIT, and on our website, www.zygerfit.com. It's gonna be till the next time. Thank you very much, Gemma, for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
You're gonna come back here.
I will. I will.
Thank you very much, my cohort.
No worries.
Nate.
I really enjoyed that. I learned a lot, and one of the things that stood out for me is community. No matter if you're doing the same thing or not, you can still support other people around you. So thank you for that.
And you were saying something, I think we have a couple of minutes. You were saying something about feeling lonely earlier.
Yeah, because especially if you're starting a business and it's your business, and let's say you're a solo entrepreneur, you're just a solo female putting up your business, and it can feel lonely because you feel like you have to do everything by yourself because it's your business.
It is,
so then you feel like you need to control everything in it. And I love how Gemma was talking about, like, you might, at some point maybe hire someone, maybe get people involved to support
community,
you in that. Or else you're just going to burn out feeling like you have to do everything by yourself.
And the really important thing is that when you recognize that and start realizing that it feels like your baby when you start off, but actually it is a business, the sooner you realize that and start to bring other people in, that's when the business takes
That's how
off.
it feels. It's a baby. That's how I feel.
I love
But you have to let go of the real ones at some point, don't you? When your business is the same.
Just let them go. That's the difficult bit. I'm going to bring you back for that one. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening, for tuning in. The good vibe is going to continue, and see you next Saturday with the same energy, the same power. See you next Saturday. This is ZYGER Fit, because fitness is not just for the body, but also for the mind. Enjoy your Saturday, guys.